Hello, lovelies. Please excuse the noise of the heater, but it is freezing in here, so I will not be turning that off. We will just have to work really hard to be louder than the heater because it's freezing. It's freezing. So, how's everybody doing? How's your Friday? How's your day if it's not your Friday when you're watching this? So, I've been reading a lot, as I do. I read a lot. And, you know, there's a lot to be said about mental health and the link there between mental health and physical health. So if you're not in a good place mentally, if you're struggling, like my hair is struggling, if you're struggling mentally, all right, if you're depressed, just feeling blah, you don't know what's wrong, you're anxious, you know, just not in a good place. You don't want to get up. You don't want to do anything. You really just want to sleep or just lay there and stare mindlessly and thoughtlessly at the TV. It's not going to be good for you physically either. So that's why when we say you have to change your mindset, you've got to get your mind right before you can get your body right. It's so important, and people don't realize this. And even our medical community is even just barely starting to recognize the link between mental health and physical health. And so I feel like there's not enough information readily available to people. Like we're still fighting to get food addiction recognized as a real thing, a real addiction, and with real, excuse me. I fought it, but I didn't win. Excuse me. Okay, so we are still fighting the good fight to get, obese people listed as a protected class. We have discrimination laws against just about everything except obesity. You can discriminate against somebody for their size, and they can't do anything about it. And that's because the medical world has yet to recognize the problems, the underlying issues, that it's not just a bunch of lazy people sitting at home stuffing their faces because they don't want to move and they don't want to work and they don't want to be, out there in the world. That's an old, wrong view of us. You need to, in order to change your situation, and it's so hard, y'all. Excuse me a moment, okay? I'll be back. Hi. I'm back. I had to take care of my allergy problems, but guess what? I was talking to the camera. I gave y'all a good 5 minutes before I realized I wasn't recording. And this is my life. So, what we were saying is that the first step to fixing what's going on up here, all of this mess and this stuff that, keeps us going nuts every day. For lack of better phrasing, Lord, help me. Is to recognize that there's a problem, right? That's always the first step in anything, in any kind of change, in any kind of self-help, anything. You got to recognize the problem first. You have to be able to, take responsibility for the fact that you have something that needs to be worked on. The second step is to find a therapist and a psychiatrist if you're somebody that's going to require medicine, prescriptions. And there's no shame in either one of those, okay? There's no reason to worry about stigmas or anything like that, because who cares? Who cares what anybody else thinks, right? They are not living your life. They're not living in your body. They're not living in your head. They are not dealing with your issues. They're not paying your bills. They are not doing anything for you, right? Excuse me. So why should you let them take anything away from you? Therapy is something that is needed. You would not have cancer and refuse to see a doctor, okay? You just wouldn't. You wouldn't, break your arm and be like, nah, it'll fix itself. Come on. It's the same thing with mental health. It is still your health. And it's very important that you take it seriously like that. And you go and you get help, okay? That's step, I'll say, we'll just say you've already recognized there's an issue. That's step one, okay? You need to get somebody in your corner that is advocating for you and helping you navigate through the chaos and the craziness of, just not really knowing what to do. Because, it can be a lot. We have so many things to work through, a lot of us. We have abandonment issues, and we have anxiety issues, depression, bipolar disorder for a lot of us, PTSD. It can just go on and on and on. There's so much that we're dealing with. There's a reason for addiction, y'all. Okay, it's not something that you just wake up with and it's there. And addiction is a mental health problem, and obesity is a mental health problem. And they hold hands. And they walk through the forest of, oh my God, how am I going to do this? It goes hand in hand, for real. So, once you have that in place, and you have your team that is working behind you to help you, that's where the hard work begins, because it's not easy to look inward and see all of these things that really you've been eating your way away from. I mean, let's be honest, that's what we're doing, right? We are covering our emotions with food, because either we were not raised to learn how to deal with our emotions, we weren't given the tools to properly work through things, we were made fun of, we were put down, we were dismissed, we were ignored, we were pushed away, we were told or taught through example that our voices didn't matter, we didn't matter. It was not okay to speak up. It was not okay to ask for help. It was not okay, to exist in who we are, really. I mean, we were taught in some way, fashion, or form to suppress us, right? And so that's what we do. And that's why a lot of us are codependent and we're people pleasers, or we internalize everything. We stay quiet when we should speak up. We don't know how to advocate for ourselves, so we don't. We sit in silence with the not so silent thoughts that torment us and hold us down and hold us back. It can get very overwhelming and tiring. Oh, it can be so exhausting. It'll feel like you just ran a 5K, but no, it was just in your head. So you have to learn how to experience the emotions, how to deal with the thoughts, and how to change them from negative thoughts into positive thoughts. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. You know, there's a lot of us that are so used to telling ourselves such bad, awful things about ourselves. And, you know, I thought that I had it bad with the voice in my head until I did this show. And I shouldn't say until I did this show, because it still stuck around for a little while. But in doing the show, you know, I had, for 20 years, I had walled myself in. I had done everything to keep society out. I lived in my bubble with Johnny and my kids and my parents and, you know, my brother and my friends, and that was it. There was no room for knowing about anybody else's lives or what was going on with anybody else or what was going on in the world, because I've been hurt and I've been burned for so long. So I just kept everybody out. And so I didn't even know that there are people out there, y'all, that the things that they tell themselves on a daily basis about themselves make you just want to cry. It'll make you want to curl up in a ball and just cry, because it's bad. It's so awful, the things that people do to themselves. And it's because they were raised in some way. Even if it wasn't their parents, then it was society. If it wasn't society, it was their teachers. If it wasn't their teachers, it was their peers. In some way, they were raised up believing they didn't matter. Not only did they not matter, but they were bad. There was something wrong with them. I got picked on for my hair color because, you know, well, they picked on me for being a redhead, even though you can see it's kind of like a cross in between, you know, kind of a brunette, kind of a redhead, but not really either. And so I got picked on for that. I got picked on for my freckles. Where's it at? But they're all over, really. These are just, you know, Helga, Olga, Francine, I don't know. I used to name Clara's little freckles. I got picked on for my freckles. After, I think, the 6th grade, I got picked on for my chipped tooth right there. I chipped it on a pencil eraser. Don't chew on your pencil erasers and tell your kids not to. I got picked on for being fat, and I wasn't even fat, y'all. If I could go back and tell her, young me, these kids, they're just cruel. They're hurting for some reason. Something's happening to them too. And they're projecting it onto you. It's not really about you, Tina. If I could go back and tell her that, although we know kids don't listen and they don't understand, you know. I was picked on for being fat. Even by y'all, if you've read the ebook, you know, even teachers, even adults, you know, adults will project things onto children because they think that, you know, they're not going to get in trouble. Who's going to believe a kid? Broken adults, I should say, will do that. And so a lot of us are living with that that broken down, beaten down, scarred, traumatized child. She's still there. He's still there. And they're still crying out for help. But we were taught that there's something wrong with us. And so we believe it, because you can only hear something so many times before you start believing it, right? And so you start doing the same abuse to the inner child that they did that made you that way. Think about that, y'all. Okay? So your bullies, more than likely by this point in life, they're gone. Long gone. And if they're not, you need to get rid of them. But we have now become our biggest bully because we believed them. We allowed them to convince us of the bad things that they were saying about us. And now, because that's how we lived for so long, it turned into kind of like a, what's it called? When somebody is living in captivity for so long that they adjust to it. Oh, I can't think of it, but you know what I'm saying. It becomes a situation like that for us. That's going to drive me crazy, y'all. What is that called? Stockholm Syndrome. That would have drove me crazy all day long, y'all. Thank you for bearing with me while I search in the middle of my video. So we end up with Stockholm Syndrome. A form of it, in some way, some fashion. We become comfortable in that way of thinking. Okay? It's like, do you catch yourself watching sad movies? Do you catch yourself listening to sad music? Do you catch yourself listening to or reading sad books or sad stories on the internet? Do you find comfort in that? Do you find comfort in the sadness? Yeah, a lot of us do, because we've lived in it for so long. So happy is scary. Sad is comfortable, right? These are the things we have to work through. These are the things that we have to say, no, that's not right. You know, just because we've done that for 30 years doesn't make it right. We need to change that. And it's going to take little bitty baby steps. You have to chisel away a piece at a time and replace it with something better, with something healthier, with positive thinking, with not beating yourself up, with not making yourself a victim, with saying, I'm stronger than that. I am a warrior. I can beat this. I am beautiful. I am intelligent. I am worthy. You replace all of the bad things with all of these good things, y'all. And when you start to do that step by step by step, you're going to start to heal. And you have to heal in order to progress, in order to grow. You have to heal. I can promise you that you are not going to step into growth or step into a healthier version of yourself without the work, without the healing process. It's not going to happen. And even the weight loss, you know, you may lose weight. Anybody can lose weight. But can you keep it off? That's the question. How long can you keep it off? Regain is inevitable eventually if your mind is not right, because the same things that got you into the habit of eating your problems away, of eating your emotions away, of eating your stress away, of eating your boredom away, they're still there. So I lost 85 pounds in 2012. Okay, I kept it off for a year. A little over a year. Closer to 2 years. And then, after having Aiden, after I stopped breastfeeding, all my habits came back. Because I had not worked on me. I had not worked on the underlying problem. I had just been a diet robot and did what I was told to do with food, with exercise. That has nothing to do with the actual problems that got me here. So the weight came back because all of my old issues were there. Things started getting hard in life again. And, you know, you're hard, my hard, very different things. You know, your mail might not run for a day and you don't know why, and you were expecting something and it doesn't show up. Excuse me, my issues again. I really need to get on allergy shots, y'all. Okay, so your mail might not show up, and that's enough to trigger you and throw you into a downward spiral of stress and high emotions that you don't know how to handle and you're not equipped for, and that be enough for you to go and down a whole pizza by yourself. Okay? For other people, it might take something a little bit more, you know? You can't afford groceries, or maybe that was a bad example because then you can't really afford to overeat. Back up, strike that, reverse it. Don't reverse it. Can you tell I just watched Willy Wonka recently? Okay. Your car gets repoed. You're freaking out. Okay? It's a bigger trigger. Much, much higher stress probably. You don't know how to handle it. You don't know what you're going to do. Your first reaction is to freak out and reach for food, right? The spectrum is long, is real. It is. But for each one of us, there is a different trigger, a different level of emotion that will send us into a spiral, that sends us into a binge. But for every single one of those people on all ends and in-betweens of the spectrum, if you are working on yourself, if you are learning to control your emotions, if you are learning the proper coping mechanisms to handle these stresses, if you are growing and healing and learning to adapt easier, you're going to have a different reaction. Food isn't going to be your first reaction, okay? A lot of the things that we deal with, a lot of what I see is that we have instant reactions to things. It's like we're always, like our nerves are always frayed and always on end and always like, ugh. And so any little thing that comes through and, you know, lights up those nerves, and we have an instant reaction, right? It's an instant, ugh. We have to learn how to fix that and go around it, right? When we can do that, food will not be our number one coping mechanism anymore. And that's where you'll see real change. So mental health is directly tied to physical health. Because if your mental health is off, our mental health is off. It is. Okay? We're working on that first step to get you to admit it. You're going to reach for food in times of conflict. It's the same as people that have a problem with drugs or alcohol. When the emotions are high and you don't know how to cope, everything feels like it's bringing you down or it's after you, the world is coming for you, you turn to alcohol, you turn to drugs, we turn to food. I would say it's a better addiction, except I'd be wrong. Addiction is addiction. It's bad all over, you know. The difference is that with drugs and alcohol, it kills them faster, or it can, I should say. For us, it's a much longer and slower and drawn out death. But please do not fool yourself into believing that it is not killing us, because it is. I'm gonna look up something again. Let's look up the statistics, because I don't have them right off the top of my noggin. Statistics for obesity-related deaths. So, according to the National Institutes of Health, 300,000 deaths per year are due to obesity. Now let's say, let me put in my notepad here. That's 300,000 a year obesity. Statistics for alcohol related deaths. 140,000 a year. Wow. That'll slap you in the face, won't it? Okay. Drug. Come on. Let's go. Come on. $106,699. 106,699. Number one cause of death in America is heart disease. And heart disease, more times than not, comes along with obesity, doesn't it? It's a very real problem, y'all. This is a very real problem. But until the world, until our country, until our medical field and the people around us and us start to really recognize this as an addiction problem and not a laziness problem, not a personal problem, we are going to continue to have this untreated issue among our population, and people are going to be able to continue to live in denial and come up with excuses and reasons and not have any personal accountability, and not in being obese, but in getting help. Because we know we have a problem. We know there's an issue, but we don't treat it like a medical issue because the world doesn't treat it like a medical issue. So we even feel sometimes like it's a us issue. You know, we tell ourselves that we have a problem with not moving enough and overeating, and we do. I'm not saying that we don't. I'm not downplaying our responsibility in this, but so what tells our brains we are full? okay? I was trying to find it's like a ghrelin, I think is how you pronounce it. I may be butchering the heck out of that word, y'all. But the hormone in your brain that initiates hunger it's in your stomach, is ghrelin, not in your brain. My brain is full of cotton today, as you can see. So there are links, okay, between gut health and obesity. If there's something wrong inside of your stomach, if it's overwhelmed with bad bacteria and we'll say it's suffocating, or it's making it very hard for everything to work in there properly, then your brain might not realize that it's full when it should. You're not getting your proper full cues. There are lots of medical reasons that somebody can be obese. And if you're not treating your obesity as a medical problem and seeing a doctor and finding out what's going on, and I don't mean go to a doctor that will tell you everything about you is because you're fat. And they are out there in abundance. There will be a doctor that tells you that if you go in because you broke your ankle going down the stairs, it's because you're fat. It's not because you're clumsy. Okay? So don't find a doctor like that. And if you have a doctor like that, leave immediately. Run. Do not wait for him to discharge you. Don't wait for the ink to dry. Get up and leave. Find a new doctor. Find a doctor that takes this seriously, that knows what's going on, that will get to know you, will know the ins and outs of your situation so that they can treat you properly. And they are out there. I promise you, they are out there. You just have to keep searching. If you have to go through 50 doctors, go through 50 doctors, because 51, that's going to be your lucky number. All right? You've got to find somebody that will be in your corner, okay? And they will work with you, and they will listen to you, and they will tell you, you have a problem. You have a medical problem. You are not a problem. You have a medical problem, okay? Excuse me. I get heated about this stuff. I'm very passionate about this because we are mistreated in this world. We are so wronged, and we have been since we were children, and it just continues. So you have to advocate for yourself, and that is where your responsibility lies in your recovery, okay? You cannot sit on the couch and expect anything will fall into your lap to help you. It's a process, and it's a process that will take a team behind you. You need therapy. You need a psychiatrist. You need a good doctor. You need a support group, a good support group, okay? You may even need, a life coach. I know that's not realistic for a lot of people, but it can help if you can afford it. But the number one thing, again, is for you to recognize there's a problem. And then recognize that the problem is medical, okay? There are physical medical problems, but then there are mental health medical problems. It's still a medical problem. Your mental health is medical, okay? That is what my group is about. My group on Facebook. I wanted it to be a safe place, a good support group, that we are a support group. For people that are dealing with this, because if you are overweight, like I am overweight, then chances are You've suffered your whole life or most of your life. Chances are that you have some of the same underlying issues. Chances are you don't know it. Okay? You don't realize it. Chances are you are still out there beating yourself up, making yourself feel like it's your problem, you're the problem. And you aren't realizing that there's other issues that need to be dealt with. And so my group on Facebook is to help people navigate through all of that and to see this is the issue and this is how we can fix it. And that at the same time have people that we're talking to day in and day out that have the same issues. And so we're all, learning from each other and helping each other and lifting up each other. The worst thing that you can do in this world is tear somebody else down when they're already hurting. They're already low and you're kicking them while they're down. I don't do that. That's not what my group is about. We're not about shaming people or putting people in their place or picking people's meals apart or telling them you have to do this way, you have to do that way. No, everybody is responsible for their own journey. Everybody's responsible for their own way of eating. Everybody is responsible for whether they get up and they exercise that day. We're adults, okay? So we hold ourselves accountable first. And then where we fall short, we invite other people in to help us. But we don't invite people in to do it for us, right? If you are struggling, if you need help, if you recognize that there is a problem that you need to fix, by all means, reach out to me. Let's get you in the group, because the group is helping. People are losing weight. People are realizing that they're not alone in their struggles. People are getting help with how to manage their day-to-day. That's what we're there for. And I don't want anybody that wants to be in the group to not be in the group because they were scared to reach out. So please do not be afraid to reach out. Reach out to me. Let's start working on the underlying problem so that we can beat the product of that problem. Okay? And then once we start to see results there, our mental health will boost even more because you're seeing the results. And the results are so important. They're so important to your mental health. Everything, it's a circle, it's a cycle. Everything, it goes round and round, hand in hand. Okay? So, message me on any of my socials. If you go to my bio of any of my socials, you'll see my link tree. There's a way for you to get to me through the link at the top that says reset with me. There's another way to, if that link isn't working for any reason, underneath, email me. It's going to take you to the same place. But just somehow, some way, reach out to me and let's get you started today. Doesn't matter where you start, doesn't matter when you start, it just matters that you start. Everyone is on their own journey. Everybody started at different times. It's not something that we all started on this day and we're doing it. No. Everyone's journey is unique to them. So the group is just our come together spot. It's our meeting spot. It's like a support group, like you see in TV when you have that big room in the rec center with all the chairs in a circle. That's what the group is. It's our rec center. So I hope to hear from y'all. I hope that y'all get the message. I hope that you have a good day. I'm thinking of y'all. I'm praying for y'all, for all of us. And we're going to do this. Okay? We're going to get this done. We're going to get everything in order, worked through, get everything where it's supposed to be. so that we can be healthy and happy and enjoying our lives and have a better quality of life. 2024 is our year. We're going to take it, right? We're going to claim it. So I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.